Hello everybody and welcome back to another shallow golf video, the home of Bang Average Golf on YouTube. And today we've got another match between Dave and myself, which gets off to a great start with me fatting my tee shot. Today we're playing the Somers course at Stonebridge Golf Centre in Solihull, England, and I will be receiving 6 shots in this 9-hole match due to my handicap. Now, I'll need it. So my first tee shot only went 100 yards or so I took a 7-iron to lay up to the green. Now, Dave was a very lucky boy, and the grass has kept his ball out of the lake, handing him a slight advantage on the first hole. I fortunately left myself a nice 85-yard shot with my sand wedge, which is a distance I like, so I'm happy with that layup with the 7-iron on the previous shot. Dave with a putt for birdie, which hits a little bit too hard, thinking the greens would be a bit more sodden as the rain falls in sunny England. And I'll have a go at par, and having seen Dave's putt fly past, I'll leave mine a little bit short, which is very standard for me. One day I will learn to hit my putts harder, and I will go ahead and tap that in for a bogey. So Dave will need this to half, which of course he drains. Moving on to hole 2, which is a 350-yard par 4. Really downhill past the bunkers. The bunkers are the main hazard on this hole, and I pull my 6-iron to the left a little bit. And Dave will take a 4-iron, which he hits quite well again, going about 180 yards or so. Tough hole though, with the wind really gusting, as it always seems to do at Stonebridge. And I will take my 7-iron from 170, quite downhill, which is why I took it from there, and I put that quite far right of the green, unfortunately. Dave taking his 9-iron from 160. A bit of a tough club selection there from both myself and Dave, with the slope and the breeze. Now I'll take a lob wedge. Been practicing my chipping all week, so I'm sure that'll be good. No, it wasn't. Now Dave from the greenside bunker. Bit of handheld recording here for you. And the ball will land about 6 feet from the flag. Another chip from myself. Again, I've been practicing this all week, so this is going to be good. Honestly unbelievable. Pathetic. And I'll have that for a bogey, which I will also leave short. It's a very tentative short gameplay from myself. Unfortunately, Dave deservedly goes one up, as he didn't take 4 shots from 20 yards off the green. But I will go ahead and put that in for a double bogey. Now moving on to hole 3, which is a relatively short par 5. Dave will hit his trusty 3-wood, which goes about 240 yards down the left-hand side of the fairway, maybe just in the rough. And I will take my trusty 6-iron, as I've lost a lot of confidence with the big clubs lately. And that sort of follows Dave. Now I take an 8-iron from the left rough and push that out quite a bit to the right, but fortunately we're playing for safety, so it doesn't actually cost me too badly. A little jump there to see where it went, but it was indeed safe. Dave with an 8-iron from 185 yards. Pretty good shot, just came up a little bit short. And another short game. Disaster class from myself as I shank a wedge. My short game's abandoned me. Baffling, I know. Fortunately, on the second time of asking, I do actually get the ball on the green, which is a great success given the first attempt. Dave with an eagle chip, which he will give a good go. Leave himself a putt for birdie. Now I've got a putt for par. Will I get it past the hole? Oh, you bet I will. I decided to make sure it at least got there, and Dave's now got a putt for birdie, only from about 4 feet or so, which he will go ahead and make, meaning Dave's 2 up. And we move on to hole 4, which is a relatively short par 3, 138 yards, where I do get a shot, which is very generous of the stroke index system. Dave and I will both take 50-degree wedges. Dave's first shot there lands on the left edge of the green. There is a little bit of wind behind here, maybe 20 miles an hour or so, and I unfortunately don't utilise it and fat my wedge shot. My chip shot here is better than the last couple. It does at least make the green. And Dave will have a little chip, which good line, reasonable distance, but just missed the hole. I've got to putt for par. I get back to my normal ways of leaving things approximately a foot short, which isn't ideal, but I will go ahead and tap that in for a bogey. So Dave needs to make this to halve the hole, which he'll go ahead and do. Nerves of steel. Right, hole 5, 474 yard par 4, where of course I get a shot. It's a very long, hard hole, stroke index 1, and Dave will take his driver and he absolutely pipes one down the fairway. Now with my awful swing, I do of course slice it really far right onto another hole. So I'll take an 8 iron, and yeah, I wasn't happy with that, understandably. So I take a 9 iron again in an attempt to lay up. That's why you take those sorts of clubs, isn't it? Dave at 185 yards in, so took a 6 iron, which will go ahead and land short left once again. Now I've got a sand wedge from 120 yards, which was a reasonable shot, considering the last few disasters I've had, though it does come up short. And Dave with another chip. Not a bad effort. He had a pretty tough lie from where he was. Now, little chip from me again. That was actually really good. Went to about a foot, so Dave was kind enough to give me that one. And Dave will leave that short to half the hole. Moving on to hole 6, another par 5. And Dave absolutely smokes the big dog, getting it down there. A solid 262 yards. It was into a strong wind, so I'm not taking the mick there. And I also hit, although it does go a bit right, it was a pretty good shot. Just ended up in the right side of the fairway. Now a trusty 6 iron. Again, another layup, as it was into wind. I did actually bring the only tiny bunker into play, but I did just clear it. Dave will go ahead and absolutely smoke a 2 iron from 234 yards, which he does get on the green. Can we have some Al Banditos in the comments? Now, here he is, the short game disaster himself, leaving another chip woefully short. But fortunately, once I've got it a bit closer, it does seem to go quite a bit better. Dave with a putt for eagle. Does leave it just short of the hole. I do have a putt for par, which I'll go ahead and make, which is reasonable considering my short game. And Dave needs that putt to halve the hole, which he does just to catch the lip to go in. Hole 7, long par 5, 523 yards, and Dave hits driver and he hits it straight at the tree, which I believe is his target line, and does unfortunately hit it. I take a 6 iron for safety, and was saved by the trees on the right. Very, very kind of them. Now, interesting shot. Just can only really punch it out. You've got to take your medicine in those sorts of situations, and it'll do. I'll take a trusty 6 iron for the 3rd time on this hole. Lay up, and unfortunately I do plonk that right behind the tree, which was a little bit annoying. And Dave will crack his 3 wood down there. Pretty good shot, went about 240 yards or so. Ended up just left of the green. And my 6 iron for the 4th time on this hole. Tried to draw it around the tree, but unfortunately the ball decided to fade. Now Dave, 65 yards. Bread and butter for him. Just get it on the green. It's not a bad approach shot. Pardon my editing, this was actually for par. Pretty good bunker shot there, really. Left myself a decent putt for bogey. And Dave with a birdie putt, and to go 2 under. Now Dave does obviously tap that in for par, and he does win the match. Now stick with us, because we are on Al Bandito watch, as Dave, the 9 handicap fraud, tries to shoot an under par 9 holes. The 8th hole is a nice par 3, about 110 yards. And Dave will go ahead and tap that in to remain 1 under, which was a good effort from him. Now, hole 9 on the Somers course is a 290 yard par 4 over a lake. And Dave will smoke his drive just short of the green. And I'll show my drive here as it was pretty good, to be honest. Just ended up about 30 yards or so short of the green, which is pretty good by my standards. Al Bandito for eagle, which I will say is probably the first really bad shot we've seen from Dave, leaving himself quite an effort for birdie, which you'd like to make when you've had such a good drive. But he will, of course, go ahead and make that par to remain 1 under. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe.